Yeah, you know who it is. If you don't, it's your boy Shake. So what up, 2K fans? You know who it is. If you don't, it's your boy Shake, and I'm here with a special guest. Say what's up to the people, fam.
What's going on, folks? You guys know who this is. It's KspadeTheProspect, crew ambassador.
Ah, the crew ambassador. That's how I like to look at it, man. We've got things to do. We've got plans. We've got intentions for the future of this game. Am I right?
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Now, this has been a long time coming, Kspade.
It has, bro. It has.
Now, I've had you on the channel before. We were just doing it was more or less the commentators dunk contest.
Right. Right.
And it's been a long time coming. I've had many opportunities to link up with you, but we just haven't crossed paths properly, you know. But now's the time, and you know, after 3 years, has it been 3 years that we've been going to team up?
Yeah, it has.
So after 3 years of team up, we finally got an opportunity to get together and discuss some things with the fans and the people and in the community. You know, mainly the community. We want to make sure that everybody understands where we stand. And so, Kspade, real quick, let the people know what you stand for and what you know, where can they find you and what are you about? For those people on my channel that don't know who Kspade is for some reason.
Oh man, let's see. To make it quick, clearly I'm a sports fan. I'm a hoops fan. And in 2010, when 2K introduced my player, they also introduced it with a mode back then known as My Crew, and every once in a while a person finds a mode that engulfs them, and this mode really engulfed me. So by the time 2K11 hit, I was getting capture equipment and I started to upload crew videos, and you know, you could tell that it wasn't because it was trendy. It wasn't necessarily the cool thing to upload. People had started to take their channels in other directions, and this was really the only thing you could find on my channel. And in 2K12, when they took crew mode away, I was still uploading 2K11 crew mode. I can remember, and Shake, you remember back in the days when Machinima Sports was kind of popping. I remember getting hate comments because people were saying, somebody tell this guy 2K12 is out. Why is he still uploading 2K11 crew mode? Like, they was wanting me to update, and I just stayed with that mode. And you know, that's kind of always been my thing. I always tell people that the reason why shooters do better than sports games is because regardless of how fun your game is, the game is even better when you can play it with friends. And that's kind of, you know, that's what I push.
Absolutely. That's that multiplayer aspect.
Definitely.
That increases the longevity of the game. You know, you can play against the AI all you want, but after you're done playing the AI, you want to challenge your skills with someone else's. And also you want to collaborate if you can. You want to team up, and that's what I'm always about. You know, I grew up playing team basketball, you know, and playing overseas when I was in the military, and it's always been a big part of my life to link up with friends and play together. And I envisioned crew when I was playing in 2010. I envisioned crew as, you know, my so to speak, my spin-off to real life basketball. So I would go out and play ball after work, and then I would hit up the courts, and then I would come home and play more basketball with friends online.
I think we all did.
And so, just for the people that don't really know what crew was, give us like a quick brief, your definition of what crew used to be.
Crew mode was essentially what you just said. It was friends, teammates bonding together to work as one unit. Of course, you use your created player. You can only play from that one perspective. So it's almost the polar opposite of my player. In my player, that mode forces you to do everything. But if you take that approach to crew mode, your crew won't really be good, and your friends probably won't like you very much. Crew mode is about knowing your role and doing your role great. Meanwhile, you know, helping your teammates do what they do, and together, you know, you come together and you kill it. You know, and my crew, the Made Men, shout out TMM. I think at our peak we was maybe in the 180s as far as rank, and you know, on Xbox 360 that was huge because most of the really top crews was either uncapped hacks or capped hacks. They was cheaters. So for us to be an all legit crew, you know, we was ranked pretty high.
Let me ask you this. You know, when I used to play crew, even when I play the park in NBA 2K14, I have a statement that I like to make. I like to tell people, you got my career skills, but you ain't got no crew skills.
Preach.
So let me ask you, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's true that some people have my career skills where they beast on the computer on pro difficulty or whatever difficulty, and they put up 100 points a game and they get 1 million steals, but then when they come out to the park or they come out to the crew, and then all of a sudden they get exposed? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most true statement in the world. We all know guys go out there and just do it big in my career. You know, I see some guys put up numbers in my career and I go, wow, that's impressive. I don't know that I could do that. And it's just because I'm wired differently. You know, I've played crew games where the game would be over and people would send me messages and say, you know, I see your YouTube videos. I thought you was really good. You only scored 6 points. And I message them back because your team's strategy was to stop me. I don't care if you stop me, but we won. You know what I'm saying? So I can always tell whether it's park, whether it's team up, blacktop, whatever the mode is. You can tell a crew player. They just play differently. You can tell it's an unselfish, you know, we want to win type of approach to the game. And those guys, I can spot them a mile away.
Absolutely. Now, let's get into the meat of this discussion. Everybody has, I think when a lot of people, when they come to team up, usually, because you and I, we've gone every single time, so we've seen new faces every time we've gone up there.
Right.
And my initial my initial response to team up when I first came out there, my first opportunity for team up, I had an agenda. Like, my agenda was still clear in my mind. I knew what I was going there for. And I believe that you were, to me, in my opinion, you were one of the few guys that had the same thought process. You had a legitimate agenda. And that agenda for you was specific. You know, we had something on our minds that we wanted handled and wanted answered when we got out there. So there was no, sure, the other things mattered to us as well, but we had one major intention.
Right.
My question to you is, what are your intentions when you arrive at 2K Team Up?
I mean, just to reiterate the importance of a multiplayer experience for these guys. I mean, 2K has been pumping out some great, you know, the last, I want to say the last two, and especially 15 is looking tremendous, but from probably 13, 14, and 15, the game has just been getting better every year. But I keep trying to reiterate that replay value still gets dull without a proper multiplayer experience. And I always go there pushing multiplayer. What do you guys have for us multiplayer-wise? And like you said, there's other things as well. That's not the only thing I'm concerned about, but that's priority one for me.
Yeah, and I agree, because back in March, you know, a lot of us, we like to do wish lists and things like that. In fact, I did several of those over the years. And this time, and I always like watching your report card videos. Those are my favorite ones. When you do the report card,
yes, sir.
Instead of doing a review, my man Kspade does a report card, and he breaks down the whole game in its intricate aspects and lets you know how he feels, generally speaking, about those particular modes and particular features in the game, and he gives it a grade, just like you would get a grade when you was in grade school.
Right.
So that's one of my favorite things to see. I took a different approach this year also in terms of doing a wish list. I went right at them with a PowerPoint presentation. In fact, I was actually in my frame of mind, I was hoping they would let me come out there and do the PowerPoint presentation, because I wanted them to understand how passionate I was about the multiplayer aspects of NBA 2K, because it felt like they kind of put it to the side, and or they were giving it back to us in portions.
Right.
It's kind of like you giving me a steak with potatoes and collard greens, and you got biscuits on the table, but then you take the plate away from me and you give me a biscuit.
Right.
And you say, hey man, if you eat the biscuit, I'll give you some greens. Then I eat the biscuit and then you give me some greens, and you say, if you eat the greens, I'll give you the mashed potatoes. I'll give you the potato. I'm still trying to get to that steak. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm getting frustrated right now. So the worst thing you can do is just play with a man's food, and the last thing you want to do for a gamer like us is play with our multiplayer. You know what I'm saying? And that longevity for the multiplayer aspect is crucial, because there's so many other distractions out there. There's all these other games that'll take you away from the one thing you love. And all I want to do is come home from work, come home from school. I'm just like everybody else. I want to pop in my 2K after playing some ball, maybe after working out, and I want to link up with my homies and get it done on the basketball court virtually. You know what I'm saying? It still feels the same. You know, it feels the same as it does in real life to an extent, because I get a chance to collaborate with some friends and win some games. My question to you, there's some people out there that'll tell you, I care more about multiplayer than I do about storyline. In a lot of video games, you got Call of Duty, you got, you know, all these one-player titles they have, and they have multiplayers. Some people will tell you they care more about the storyline than they do about multiplayer. So I'm asking you, Kspade, do you care more? Is it multiplayer that's more important to you than my career? Do you care more about their approach to crew than their approach to my career?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I know it's tons of different gamers, and everything that 2K puts in this game affects one type of gamer. And I really try to stay in my lane, because I hear them talking online association or offline association, should I say. And that's a mode I would never play, association, because it's just repeated games against the computer. That's not my thing, but I understand it's somebody's thing. And I just, you know, for me, multiplayer is just where it's at. I mean, you just made the reference to Call of Duty. I haven't played a campaign on Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2. I couldn't tell you what happened. I don't even attempt the campaign. Don't even try the first mission. I open the game, I put it in, and I go straight online team deathmatch. So, I mean, for me, I just want a game as a team, as my unit, with my friends. Because once we get older, and Shake, we know this, you know, once you're an adult and you got a family to take care of, you don't really hang out as much. So this gives you an opportunity to kill two birds with one stone. You enjoy gaming, you enjoy hanging out with your friends, and then if you can combine those, it's the best situation ever.
Absolutely. I'm in full agreement with that. Now, every year when we go to Team Up, I can't wait for Kspade to ask his question. His question is always, how is crew in this year's game?
Yep.
And there was one time you were disappointed. You were heavily disappointed in NBA 2K13.
Right.
And in NBA 2K14, they brought it back, but remember, it wasn't the real version of crew that we were looking for.
Right.
It was some spin-off, in my opinion, half-assed approach to crew.
Right.
In fact, they made a mad dash to try to re-implement crew after you and I left, and after you and I locked arms and decided we wanted nothing to do with the announcement of crew.
Absolutely.
A lot of you guys don't know this. You know, 2014, we made our statements on this. We did our videos on this. But just to remind you guys, me and Kspade locked arms and said we want nothing to do with the announcement of that fake version of crew in NBA 2K14 old generation. You know, we want nothing to do with it unless they gave us what we wanted in
some
crew.
of the changes we asked for. Yes, sir.
Yes. And now my definition of crew in terms of NBA 2K and the way we remember it in NBA 2K10 and NBA 2K11, it had a referee.
Mm-hmm.
You were in a gym, so you had a crowd. You had substitutions. You had fatigue.
Yep.
They made the game simulation in terms of there being a referee, legitimate rules, and you had to play the game as a team. Okay, not like the park where it's arcade mode.
Right.
All right. What's your take on NBA 2K14's The Park?
The park never really hit home for me. In theory, it did. And just the extreme wait times, the fighting over got next spots, the fact that in some cases people could push you off the got next spot, and along with some other issues as far as you know, you could just wait all this time, and as soon as you get on the court, it would throw you to the dash. You know, some of the other things, I really didn't enjoy the park. Now, Shake, I know you played quite a bit of park games. Like, you played a lot of park games, and you know, a lot of respect for you for that, because I know that you had frustrations with that mode as well, but you just powered through it. And some points I just couldn't. You know, I played a couple hundred games and I just had my feel with it. But I still feel like the park was an attempt for 2K to kind of give us the steak we're asking for, but still want us to kind of try the chicken.
Yeah, I remember the grade that you gave it in your video, the report card. You gave it an F. Yeah,
people was upset with me about that. But I mean,
let me tell you, you and I represent two portions of the community. You have the community that says, "To hell with this. I'm not going to try this. I don't even want to associate myself with this because it's terrible." And then you have the other guys that are saying, "I'm trying to like this. Right. I'm trying my very best and I'm powering through this, but I'm suffering the whole time." There's no one that I can think of that would tell me that they thought the park in NBA 2K14 was perfect. It was awesome. It was the greatest thing ever. I always tell people, if you go back to 2K10, they already had the park. They had a blacktop mode.
Sure did.
And it was 5v5. Okay, it was random. You couldn't get your friends to run with you. And then in 2K11, it was the same way. They even had a beach park. They even had a city park and a cage park. All this new stuff that I'm looking at in terms of 2K15 isn't really that new if you consider the fact that it was already in 2K10 and in 2K11. If Crew was in 2K15, considering that we have the rec center now, but we'll get to that. If Crew was in NBA 2K15, to what extent would you like it represented?
If I could have it my way?
Absolutely. If it was your way, no discussions. It was all Kspade. It was Kspade's baby.
Yeah, well, I think moving forward, the perfect return for Crew would be like an infusion between Crew mode and my team mode. And I say that because people all the time come back and say, Spade, they're not bringing Crew mode back because it's not a big money maker and it's about microtransactions and they want the buying and selling of VC. And I said, that's fine. They could give us more customization options that you might have to use VC for. Maybe they could take, in the same way in my team where different coaches give you different boosts and you know, boost to different attributes. And maybe these coaches, better coaches, cost more VC. Maybe you have to put contracts on your crew members. And I've made videos after videos after videos to the point where I don't even know if I should continue to make videos. I'm just going to republish my older stuff because I'm saying the same things every year. But there are ways that you can get VC into Crew mode and expand it. Like, I would like it back, but not necessarily in the same form it was in 2K11. Everything else has been moving forward. My player was introduced in 2K10 and it was fun. It wasn't perfect, but they didn't remove it. Every year they worked on it and they made it better. They added things. They added more endorsements, more shoes, more storyline, and it got more expansive every year. So why can't Crew fans get that? You know, why did our mode have to be stripped because it wasn't perfect? Nothing in the game was perfect, you know, and it just continued to grow and expand. And that's what I want to see them do with Crew mode. If it was back in 15, I would like for it to be back. And if VC is really something that's important, and I can understand it from a business standpoint. I mean, microtransactions rule the world. Think about people that play Candy Crush. These people are buying lives out there, so I can get it. But just bring us our mode back with everything that we ask for, and then let's expand it forward without changing it, without making it something different.
I thought that they were trying to appeal to both demographics, you know, both different types of players. You have your arcade players that just want to pick up and play. But I thought after playing the park and suffering through roughly 1,500 games on the park, I felt like it was the most excruciating and most frustrating experience that I've had in the entire 2K series. We can go back to 2K10 and 2K11 and remember getting lagged out of Crew.
Right. We
can also go back to that time frame and remember the 7-foot, you know, centers that were balling on people like they were point guards, right? We can also go back to 2K10 and 11 and remember the guys that were stripping you, you know, on the inbound. They were robbing you and doing all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, the park, because of the excruciating wait times that you so elegantly put it, that made it even worse than anything else, because now I have to wait to play the game, and there is no multiplayer title that I can think of that forces you to watch some other people play first for 15 to 20 minutes before you can just get in. Try to imagine Battlefield 4. Those matches last between 15 and 20 minutes. Okay,
Right.
You're logging into Battlefield 4, and you get to see everybody playing and everybody shooting and doing all this stuff. You see an opportunity for you. You would love to jump into this game, but you can't. You have to watch everybody else play for 15 and 20 minutes. Then you finally get into the game. Okay, you avoid getting lagged out. You avoid the game not putting you on the right team and throwing you off and separating you into parallel universes. You avoid all this. You get into the game and you lose a game in Battlefield 4. Okay? You lose the match. They kick you out of the server and they make you watch all over again for 15 or 20 minutes. How many people would stay playing Battlefield 4?
How many people would get 1,500 games played like you did?
How many people would put in 1,500 games? I put in that amount of time because I wanted not necessarily just to come back to 2K angry and go at them crazy and say, this is what you've done to me. But I really loved the crew aspect. I had my team, I had my people, and I also had subscribers and friends that wanted to come through and get some games in. And you know, I wanted to challenge my skill. I wanted to elevate my game. But at the end of the day, I found that I wasted more time. Literally, I know how long it takes me to read a book, okay? I know how many books I can read in a month. In the time that I spent waiting on NBA 2K on the park, I could have learned another language.
Wow.
For them to put that into the game, what to me was a statement that the people that were designing that mode do not play multiplayer. It was obvious. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like they don't have the experience that I do of 1,000 games on the park waiting. So when you don't invest the same amount of time into the game that I do, now I have the advantage when I come to you and discuss it. You see what I'm saying? Right. So now I can say to you, hey, you didn't put 1,000 games in on the park to realize how bad it was. How do you feel about the Rec Center in NBA 2K15?
I got a love-hate relationship with it. I mean, once again, I feel like it goes back to the scenario you gave us earlier. They gave us a lot of what we asked for. They gave us 4 quarters. They gave us a more simulation setting. They put us in a gym, not necessarily in an arena, but in a gym. And we got refs, we got calls. We still don't have the ability to make substitutions. Of course, the big issue is still going to be the got next spots, which I've been trying to tell people. I hate to sound like the pessimist, but in some ways, I really feel like the wait times are going to be worse. I mean, we were waiting for guys to go to 21. Now we're waiting for 4 quarters, 5-minute quarters with fouls. You got to think the clock is not running when people's at the charity stripe. And because of the addition of squad spots, you could potentially wait 8 quarters. See, what happens is the got next spots are still there, as well as the squad spots. So whichever spot fills up first is who has next. So if your squad goes to the Jordan Rec and this game is running on all 5 courts and there's people on got next spots on all 5 courts and your squad leader gets on the spot to put your squad on, it's 4 games on that court right now. It's 4 quarters on that court that's going to go. The randoms that have the got next spots, they're next. They're going to run 4 quarters and then you're next. So you could sit on the side of the court for 8 quarters. It could be 50 minutes to an hour before you play, and I just think that's gonna kill it. That's dope.
It's funny that you say this, because in my last video, I basically stated that the got next is gonna be even worse if you want to play 5v5 Rec Center. We used to have something called crew. You got into matchmaking with your crew, and you just got to play. You just got in and you played. There was no waiting. The Rec Center is the only location where you could play 5v5 simulation style basketball in NBA 2K15 with friends, multiplayer wise. Okay? Yep. In this mode, you got 4 quarters. So I'm like, yo, it's going to be worse than it was. Oh, we shortened it to 15 points on the park, where it's 3v3 arcade mode. But when I want to get down and play crew with my homies, 10, 11, 13, 14, For 4 years, actually 4 years, the span of 4 years, I've seen people lag out of multiplayer, okay? So until I can be 100% assured that that won't happen, chances are I might line up with my crew and a member might lag out. I don't know if I want to sit there and wait in the rec center for 4 quarters. So I'm just at the back. I'm not trying to be a pessimist either, because I'm optimistic. I still plan on putting in thousands of hundreds of games into the mode. But I'm just a realist also. How do you feel about the direction 2K is going in terms of multiplayer?
I feel like the kid in a big family, like you got 5 or 6 siblings and it's Christmas and everybody's opening up these gifts and everybody's getting what they wanted but you. That's kind of how I feel. I'm looking around and they're talking association, they're talking my team, they're talking parks, they're talking the stage.
My career mode.
People's getting all happy and I'm just sitting here like, what about my present? When are we going to get what I've been asking for since 2K12? When
not in portions though, the full package.
Just give us what we're asking for. When I went to San Fran for the crew, the announcement that crew will be returning to OG consoles, just in chit chat with Ronnie, I said, Ronnie, I do analogies. Let me give you an analogy. I said, what if once a year your company sent you to a seminar, maybe in a different state, and you go there in 2010, you ordered a steak. The steak was amazing. You loved it. So the next year when your company sent you to that seminar, you went back to the same restaurant, you got the steak again. The steak was amazing. When you went back in 12 and asked for the steak, they told you to try the chicken. When you went back in 13 and ordered the steak, they told you to try the rack of lamb. When you went back in 14 and asked for the steak, they wanted you to try something different. At what point do you say, wait a minute, I don't understand this. I'm back for the steak. The steak is why I'm back. Why can't I just have the steak? I said, and that's the problem right there. Because you're trying to tell me what's good to you. But I don't care what's good to you. To me, the steak is what's good. I ordered the steak. So that's just kind of how I feel about it, man. They're doing a great job of listening to everybody, but crew fans.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like, there's a lot that this game is bringing to the table.
A lot, and it's looking great.
And it's phenomenal. I think that 2K15 is probably going to be the best 2K that we played in a long time.
I agree.
I think that they're giving a little bit to everyone. Unfortunately, for me and you, those of us that like to play crew multiplayer, I think that it's there, but just not the full package. I think that we can have fun with what they're bringing to the table. I just don't think we can have that same, amount of fun that we used to be able to have. In my own personal experience with the games, I feel like it's my responsibility, if I'm going to invest a lot of time, if those are other people that are going to invest a lot of money, if you're going to invest a lot of time and money into something, I think it's your responsibility to give feedback. Who do you think has the responsibility, Kspade, to give that feedback to the 2K dev team?
I mean, it's got to be people like you and I. And that's not to say, and I kind of wanted to go back and say something. I don't want this to come across as me saying that I don't like the Jordan Rec Center. Like, when they showed us the Jordan Rec Center, I was like, wow, like, this is dope. So I don't want it to sound like I'm not happy. The game is going to be amazing. At least it's looking that way right now. So sometimes we have to speak for the minority. The majority of the people are going to take 2K15 and say that this game is the best basketball game ever. And I think it really has a legitimate chance of being that. But I still have to speak for the crew heads that's just saying, the Jordan Rec Center looks dope. And the park, even though I didn't like the park in 14, park is looking way better. I think I will play more park games this year than I played last year. And of course I'm going to be in the Jordan Rec Center. So if it's a way that I can say thank you guys for this, but hold up, that's not all I'm asking for. If I can still do that, then that's what I'm trying to do. And I think that's the same thing you do, Shay.
Absolutely. I think that NBA 2K15 is going to be a phenomenal game. I think my career is going to be very interesting, and we're going to invest a lot of time into it. I think we're also going to play a lot of the park. We're going to be on the rec center. I think this is going to be another year-round game that I'm going to be playing all year long until 2K16 comes out. I think I'm going to enjoy it. It's the game that I look forward to more than any game that ever comes out every year. This is why I'm so passionate about it. And this is why when I speak with conviction, because I'm passionate about it. I put a lot of time into it. And I develop relationships with friends and I see their frustration. I listen to I hear their anguish. I hear their problems and their issues with the title. I think that gameplay-wise, 2K15 is miles ahead of 2K14. I think they've addressed a lot of the issues that we've been suffering through in the previous games. And I think that every year it gets better and better. And I know that they are listening to us. I just hope that they're addressing the issues that we present to them. It's one thing to listen to us, another thing to actually address and actually give the fans what they're looking for. And again, we may represent the minority. So that's all I'm trying to say. You know, I hope that NBA 2K15 is what everybody's looking for. I'm hoping that it is what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? And I appreciate all the hard work that the 2K devs put into the titles. We are some passionate fans of a specific mode that would love to have that full aspect of that game back into the next iteration. The rec center is close. It's definitely close.
Close as we've been.
Yes, it is, and they are listening to us. And I hope that it proves to be one of the best modes in the game. Kspade, before we hang up, let the people know where they can find you.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can find me on YouTube, KspadeTheProspect. And also, I want to take this time to give a shout out to my secondary channel. It's a community channel that looks out for other YouTubers, small and big. That's the Full House ENT. Check us out.
Absolutely. So, it's your boy Shake. As always, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Check the About section for Kspade's channel. And until next time, I'll holla at you dudes later.